When I left Peru, I was 9 years old, and we just left behind basically everything we knew. We left our family, we left the home that we had. My brother, being older, he left a lot of friends, a lot of the relationships he had built and the connections he might have had. For me, I feel like I just left memories of being a kid living there. The business my parents had wasn't really going very well. My dad had a job, but it didn't pay much. So we knew that we were going to have to make changes in our lives. And since we had family living in Virginia, my mom called my aunt up and said, "We need help. Do you think moving there is an option?" And my aunt said, "Come on over." So we did. My first summer in Fairfax was fun. I didn't really speak English a lot. Where my cousin lived, she lived in a basement of a house where she used to work at. She used to take care of the two little girls that lived upstairs, Catherine and Sarah. They were 2 years and 1 year younger than I. So the three of us used to play together. You know, with me being new in the country, they knew I didn't speak English, so they tried their best to try to communicate with me. And since I loved Barbies a lot, and they had a lot of Barbies as well, we used to just go down to the basement and play Barbies together. So when little girls play Barbies, there's always a story. You know, Barbie's doing this, Barbie's doing that. They're talking with each other. Barbies are having a conversation.
What dress are you going to wear to the ball?
So with Catherine, Sarah, and I, it was a big task to try to figure out what their Barbie was saying, and for them to try to figure out what my Barbie was saying.
Yo voy a jugar en bicicleta.
So while it was fun, it was also sometimes frustrating for me to make my Barbie express what she was going to do within the game.
No, silly. What dress are you going to wear to the ball?
So just by saying certain words, they kind of had an idea of, oh, this is what her Barbie's doing. And if I didn't know a word in English, I would sometimes just say it in Spanish. And then that way they learned a new word in Spanish too. So with our two languages and our efforts, we each learned from each other. And by the end of the summer, we knew what Barbie was doing all the time. At summer camp, I was treated like any other kid. I was not the girl that did not speak English. I was Maria. So that was good and bad, because I did not always understand what was going on. With Catherine, since we were the same age, in the same age group, they put us together in the same age group at camp. But during the summer, I turned 10, and that put me into a different group. So while I had my comfort and my buddy, my support system with Catherine in the beginning of the summer, or the first week of the camp, I didn't have that later on in the summer. So that was very hard. I found this little girl at summer camp that spoke Spanish, who was in the new group I had joined once I turned 10. And I kind of clung on to her and said, I have to be friends with this kid because she's going to have to help me. And she did. She was very helpful and never enabling me or doing things for me, but explaining things to me. If I didn't understand something, she would translate it. And after that, I knew that when the teacher said that sound or those words, that I knew what to do. So that was definitely a huge learning experience for me of, again, being immersed with a lot of children my age, mostly, and having to communicate with them and communicate with the camp director and the camp counselors. So that was more of an immersion for me than anything else, in a way for me to learn English. And my mom definitely appreciated that because she was afraid of how things were going to go come September when I started school. My theory is that being an ELL student is like being in Charlie Brown.
She said my name. Did you hear that? Did you hear how she said my name?
They're looking at you, they're trying to say things to you that you're supposed to know, you're supposed to understand, and you just have no clue because it's just this noise that you hear coming out of their mouth.
Of course she said your name. She was calling the roll.
But it's more than that. I feel that Miss Othmore really likes me.
Don't be ridiculous. To her, you're just another student.
On the contrary, I have the feeling I'm somebody special.
Wah, wah, wah. You have no idea what she's trying to say to you. And that's exactly what I felt for a very long time when I first came here. I had Miss Watkins as my 4th grade teacher. I was not ready for school. I was scared to death. I cried the first day of school. I cried the entire first week of school because I did not want to go. And I love school. I always wanted to go to school. But it was just the fear of, I'm going to be in this place for 8 hours every day till June, and what am I going to do? So I went to the open house before school started to meet Miss Watkins, and my mom came with me, and she from the get-go knew this kid does not speak a lot of English. So she was very welcoming, and I think that having met her before even the first day of school came was very, very helpful. So I was in ESL all of 4th grade, and by halfway through 3rd quarter of 5th grade, I just didn't want to be there anymore. I just felt that the work I was doing was boring. It just wasn't challenging me in any way. And my mom was worried that with me being bored in class, I was going to start becoming a discipline issue. So I told my mom, I don't want to be in ESL anymore. I want to be in the regular class with my friends, because I had friends who were American kids who didn't speak Spanish, who weren't in ESL, and I wanted to be all day with them, not be pulled out and not, in a way, feel inferior when I knew that I could do the work they were doing in the regular classroom. So my mom said, well, you need to talk to Miss Curry. Miss Curry was my ESL teacher. And my mom, not really knowing a lot of English, she couldn't do it for me. So I got up the courage and went to Miss Curry and said, I would like to stay in my regular class. And so she and Miss Watkins talked about it, and they decided that at the end of the 3rd quarter, I would just stay in Miss Watkins' class the entire day. So I agreed. I thought, good deal. But then I knew that I had to work my butt off to do well and not to be pulled out anymore. And I never went back to ESL after that.